Hello friends! I thought it was about time to check in. I know it's been a bit of a while. My second regimen of chemo, I have 3 weeks in between infusions, and so sometimes it feels like there's not a whole lot to talk about, which is kind of what I want to talk about today. But first I'll give you a little update. So I had my third AC infusion. Actually, for those of you that are new, just joining us, my name is Heather Lambert, and I was diagnosed triple negative breast cancer on March 31st, and then I started chemo in April. So triple negative, and I have lymph node involvement, so we tend to do pretty aggressive, strong chemo, and for 6 months. So I started with Keytruda, immunotherapy, and carboplatin and Taxol. Taxol was weekly for 12 weeks, and then they did the carboplatin and Keytruda every 3 weeks. And then I switched to AC chemo, most people know as the Red Devil. And people say Red Devil like it's a bad thing, but thank you, Jan Murphy, my friend up in Maine. She reframed for me, and now the Red Devil is my little friend. He's my little red Tasmanian, like from Looney Tunes devil. That's how I imagine him. And he gets injected in, and he goes in and cleans up all the cancer cells. So he's my buddy and takes care of me. So it doesn't feel so yucky anymore when I say that. So anyway, hope that helps somebody. If you're looking at getting that Red Devil, he's your friend. It's okay. So I've been doing AC. I've had 3 infusions of 4. Next week is my last chemotherapy infusion. Super excited about that. I've been looking forward to it for a very long time. A little anxious about still having to do 1 more week of ugh, but it's not gonna be bad. It's good. It's the last one, and then we move on to surgery. So the week after my infusion, I have appointments with surgeons and an MRI to see kind of what's going on in there, and then we'll have surgery in about a month or so. So I'll get a date soon, and then radiation after that. So and then depending on what they find during surgery, will determine if I need anything beyond radiation. So we'll see. But we're getting ready to finish the first phase, right? Chemotherapy will be done, and that's really good. So I've done pretty well. First regimen went pretty well, right? The first 12 weeks, Taxol. A little tired after infusion, but not too bad. And I got through that. And then AC was funny. My oncologist told me it was the real chemo, right? And everybody shares such tells you, oh, it's awful, and the nausea, and it's horrible, and make sure you have all the things for nausea. I've got all the things for nausea when I started chemo, and I've not been nausea at all. Neuropathy is horrible. Not everybody gets neuropathy. A lot of people try to ice their hands and feet so I don't get neuropathy, and oh my god, people told me, and I'm gonna ice up, and I didn't ice and I didn't get neuropathy. And I know people who have iced miserably through chemotherapy and still got neuropathy. So it's kind of hit or miss. I think it has more to do with each person than it does with all the things. So be comfortable. Don't suffer through chemotherapy. But here's what I want to talk about. Actually, I'm gonna tell you first. So after my AC chemo, because I want to share this. I want to share that chemo is manageable. Like, it's people that have never experienced, or people who have never experienced it. And even myself, when I was going into it, I was nervous to start AC, and it's because of all the stories that I've heard from people, right? You hear things, and people talk about it with such strong language, how horrible it is, and the nausea, and it's, this horrible poison devil that's going to make you feel awful, and it's going to it's just going to be the worst thing of your whole life ever. And so what happened when I got my infusions? First day I'm fine. It's the steroids, right? Not too bad. Very quickly I get dry mouth, and my mouth gets like this film in it. My gums have been a little bit sore. And of course flavors and things go yuck. Even water doesn't taste very good for a couple of days. So that's tricky because you gotta be hydrated. That's number 1. Hello, if you're doing chemotherapy, drink, and then drink some more because you didn't have enough. So that's tough the couple of days after to try to get my water in, but because nothing tastes good. And I also get a lot of heartburn and indigestion. So the first week that was tough because I was eating all the things. second and third infusion, I was smarter about what to eat, and I got my Pepsid in sooner. So I'm a little more consistent and upfront with the Pepsid, and that helps a lot. So that, and combined with what I'm eating, has helped the last couple of times. So it's been a lot better. And the fatigue. So I want to talk about the fatigue. Fatigue on chemo, when people say they're tired on chemo and other people go, oh yeah, I know what you mean, I'm tired. No, it's a different thing. So let me tell you what happens. When your normal person is tired, like you're tired, you're out, you're tired, you need a nap. Great. On chemo, when people say they're tired and have fatigue on chemo, it's different. Okay. So the way I imagine it, what happens is when you get the chemo infusion, your body goes to work. That chemotherapy in your body causes all of your organs and systems to work different, right? Your immune system starts wigging out, your digestive system starts wigging out, your filtering system is working extremely hard to filter all of that medicine. And so your body goes into sort of survival mode, is how I describe it. This is, and I don't know this for sure. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I have no idea. But from the patient side of it, like, this is what it feels like. Okay, so it's almost like your body goes into survival mode. And so all the extra activities and functionings shut off. Like, it just shuts off. And even like brain function. So people talk about chemo brain, and you'll hear that from people that are on chemotherapy a lot. It's totally a true thing, but here's what I think it is. I think that your body goes into survival mode, and even that functioning of your brain goes into survival mode. So all your executive function, thinking, so decision making, problem solving, creativity, all that kind of stuff, extra language, basic language, yeah, fine, you can communicate, but the extra language, right, the really thoughtful stuff, that shuts off because your body is conserving its energy, and it's to take care of all of this stuff that's in your body. So it shuts down for a bit. And I think that's what chemo brain is. I think your executive functioning is just on pause, and your body is, we say, tired and fatigued because we can't move. You just can't. You can't get up and walk and do, and you can't hold a conversation that makes sense, and you can't do anything for long periods of time. You just can't be up. I just have to blob on the couch for a few days. And I think, and that's how I describe it. That's what it feels like, is that all of that extra functioning kind of shuts down while your body takes care of the medicine that it just got. And so after about 5 to 7 days, depending on how much water I've had to filter, all of a sudden I will wake up again. I wake up in the morning and it's like somebody switched my brain back on, and I've got problem solving happening and processing happening, and I've got these visions and events and things happening. Like, it's almost like playing catch up, right? I think about Dave and I have been watching Westworld, if you've watched that show on HBO, about the basically their robots, artificial intelligence and that kind of thing, and they shut them down. They like shut down motor function, and they just sit there, right? They're still thinking, they can still hear, but they're like still, and then they say turn yourself back online, and they're like doo-doo-doo. That's kind of what it feels like. So all of a sudden one morning I will be like, oh, my brain works again, that's great. And then I feel much better, just like that. It's kind of weird. I can still get tired, but that fatigue, that shutdown mode, lasts about 5 to 7 days on AC. On Taxol it was only like 2 or 3 days, and not as severe, but AC definitely was more severe and lasts a little bit longer. So I'm about 5 to 7 days of a blob on the couch watching TV. And then all of a sudden it, like, everything starts working again. My brain starts thinking again, and I feel much better, and so I can go about most of my normal daily activities. I still can't overdo it, but still mostly can take care of whatever I need to. So that's kind of what it's like. So I'm about a week, and then week two, so I'm in week 2 right now. Feel great, doing whatever. And then week three I still feel good physically, but my I start anticipating the next infusion, so my brain and emotions start to get a little bit distracted just because I'm kind of anticipating the next one. But this is the last one, so yay. So anyway, that's what it is. So when I go 3 weeks and I don't really have a whole lot to share, I just don't, what is there to share? Nothing's happening. I'm just kind of going about life and doing my things. But that's kind of the point that I've been thinking about this week. So I hear a lot of and see a lot of people in my cancer groups. So if you are somebody who's getting ready to do chemotherapy or thinks they might have to, or is supporting someone who is going to be doing chemotherapy, you get into those groups and you see and hear all of these horrible, horrible things, side effects and problems from treatment. And that's what those groups are for, to get help, right? To get help and support when you're struggling. And everybody is different. Everybody experiences it different. And some people do have a harder time than others. It's absolutely true. Absolutely 100%. But in those groups especially, and when people are sharing, people only share the horrible, oh my God, you won't believe what happened, right? Or I can't believe this is happening to me stuff. The bad, the negative, the scary, that's the majority of what you see and hear about. And so when you're getting ready to do that same thing and all you've heard are these negative, scary side effects and miserableness from people, it's scary. It causes you to be afraid about what you're about to do. And that stress and that fear and anxiety is not helpful. It's not helpful to anybody. And it's not going to help you get through it in a positive, good way, right? You've got to have a mindset going in that you're going to be okay. And if you focus on every little twinge and every little thing that happens, I mean, I could totally focus in on the way my mouth feels right now, or the heartburn all week, or and be an absolute miserable mess for a really long time. I could, but if I realize and believed in my mind and in my heart that it's just an annoying little side effect and it's not really that big a deal and I can keep going, then it's not that bad. I mean, it sucks and it's annoying, but that's about it. And I can go about doing life. Again, there are exceptions, so don't come at me. I know there are exceptions, and some people have a really, really hard time and their bodies react and it's horrible, but the majority of people get through it with just some annoying side effects, but they get through it just fine, living life a little slower maybe for the time, but still living. So what I think is important is for those of us that have uneventful experiences, we have to share that, because the negative, scary stuff is louder and more prevalent out there in the world than the uneventful. Even in movies, like if you watch people in movies that have cancer, what happens to them? They're miserable, they're sick, and they die. That's it. I've never seen an experience in a movie or a TV show where somebody had cancer that was just going about life with their little chemo cap and were perfectly fine. Like, you never see that. And I think people that haven't experienced this cancer chemotherapy treatment life, they have a very skewed view of what it might look like. And so patients, when you get diagnosed, it's very scary and you think you have to do chemo and you're like, oh my God. But that's why, because that's all we see are negative, and that's all we hear about is the horrible side effects that people are struggling with. We don't hear from the people that get through it just fine, or get through it, with just these annoying little side effects. But it's, it's okay. And there are things that you can do to make those side effects less horrible. Not gonna go away, but there are things. And so people have to know that, like, if you do the things that will help you, you'll get through it. And so people need to hear that. They need to know it's going to be okay. And it sucks and it's miserable, and you'll have days and you'll have moments. Sometimes I just have moments that I fall apart a little bit. cry on Dave's shoulder, and then I'm good. And then I continue on, because it is hard. It is hard. I'm not gonna lie. It ain't easy, and it sucks, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But if you're here and you have to, it's gonna be okay, and you don't have to be afraid. That's all. So anyway, so I just want to share that. So if you're going through something, whether it be cancer or not, and you get through it kind of uneventful, share that with people. Tell people how uneventful it was, because somebody else is going to go through that same thing and they are scared out of their mind. And if they hear from enough people that it's going to be okay and that you can get through it, that will help. It will help somebody. So anyway, I guess that's all I have to say today. I gotta go pick up Christopher from Starbase. Next infusion next week. So I will share if we're having any celebrations. The other thing too, if you're watching on YouTube, I do post more often on my Facebook page. So YouTube, I can only post videos. I don't always do just videos. So if you follow my A More Magical Life Facebook page, you'll see more frequent updates. It's just easier to post than it is to do videos sometimes. But that's it. So I'm good. Enjoying the next week before infusion day, because the week after infusion day will be quiet. And then count down to surgery, and then we will be in the home stretch. So yeah, all is well. Hope you guys are having a great week. Have a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you again soon.